Hello, welcome to the G.I. Joe New News Classified Reviews. My name is David T. Allen, or if you would like, Super Dave 817. If you would like to see more of this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification button for future videos. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the G.I. Joe New News Classified Review. I'm David Allen. If you'd like, you can call me Super Dave 817. Thank you for joining us today in the chat. We are talking Zartan Vintage Packaged. This is our sixth vintage package that we're going to be going over today of Zartan, and the third version of Zartan from the classified line. So it's going to be a little bit interesting because I do not see that much difference with this Zartan from the previous Zartans. And I have both of the other two Zartans right here to go over the first classified version and then the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive version. So now we have the vintage package version. All of these are very, very similar. Good morning, Crusty Old Crow. Thanks for joining us today. This is the first retro card you bought of the G.I. Joe vintage package. I'm surprised because this was not an easy one to find. It was a little bit easier to find than, let's say, Snake Eyes, or let's say maybe the Storm Shadow. But yeah, it was a little harder. You could pre-order it through Walmart, and again, a lot of the packages were kind of bent and a little bit damaged and stuff like that. But it was a little bit better than the previous Baroness, Lady J, Destro, and Gung Ho. That's for sure. So again, we have the beautiful Hector Greedo homaged packaging. Let's see. Canadian Walmart and Toys R Us had this. Oh, okay. So you're in Canada. Bobby World, thanks for joining us this morning. I'd like to see them do a clear version of Zartan to mimic his chameleon ability. Yeah, that actually would be kind of cool to do that. I don't know if Classified or Hasbro would do something like that. I'm trying to think. They're doing the Ghost Viper, right? And they did a lot of cool stuff with Crystal Ball. So it is in the possibility. It is in the realm of possibility. And then there are characters like Wraith from the 2000s during the 25th anniversary era. I don't know if we ever get to Wraith. Would they do a invisible version or a regular version, or would they do a 2-pack with both versions? How would they go about that? Would they give him multiple parts that could mimic that? That's actually an interesting question, Bobby World. You always bring such thought-provoking ideas to the chat. Thank you very much. Crusty Old Crow. Let's see. Bobby, that'd be cool. That'd be like erasing figures from Monster Force. It'd be a cool way to do Zartan. Yeah, definitely would be a cool way to do Zartan. It's just a matter of how they could manufacture that and get it properly to be something that they could release. Like I said, they're doing the Ghost Viper with those translucent parts, and they've done translucent parts before in other ways. So I think it's doable. Maybe those are experimental things that they're trying to do for maybe a Zartan or a Wraith or somebody like that in the future. But that would get us another Zartan in the line if they did that. We do have another Zartan that I went over the other day. The Cold Slither box set had Zartan way up there. So we now have 4 Zartans in the line. So that would be a 5th Zartan, right? So we'll have to see how it goes. Again, like I was saying earlier, this is Hector and Hector Greedo inspired packaging. It is definitely different than the Hector Greedo because they did not do a single card. They did a box card um, uh, package for Zartan with the swamp skiff or whatever it was, ski skiff or swamp skier or whatever it is, and then there was a inspired packaging that Dan Klingensmith included with his book set. I showed that on a previous video. So it's not even similar to this. It's quite different in the design of it. And then this one has a lot of blue in it. So this is much more Sunbow inspired. I would say this costume and the figure itself is much more Sunbow inspired. If you want to go that far. Let's see, with all the Ninja Force characters coming out, I'm surprised they haven't done the Night Force Zartan with the bright orange mohawk. Yeah, that's probably going to come. They've been just doing the Ninja Force a character at a time, a couple characters with Slice and Dice, 2 characters there. So they've been just doing them a little bit at a time. That's what I kind of like, the cadence of how they do these factions. So you don't get all the factions all at once. You get them spread out over a period of time. We did that with the Crimson faction. We're doing it with Iron Grenadiers. We're doing it with Dreadnoks. So I think eventually we will get to that Zartan. So that'll give us 2 more Zartan options down the road, so they can spread those Zartans out, and they would be part of Dreadnoks on top of that. So there you go. Bobby, they will have to reuse Cold Slither parts. His Cold Slither parts, possibly. I have to get a better look at the Zartan from that to see if they could use the Cold Slither parts. But I think he has maybe, I don't think it's a track suit, but it's definitely got different layers on it. I'm not sure if that figure is the same mold. I'm not sure if that Zartan's the same. We'll have to get into it and see. Probably all but the head sculpt. Well, there you go. Crow. Bobby thinks you could possibly do it. So then let's see. We have the file card on the back, and we're going to read a little bit about that. And this is the next 2 figure wave, Storm Shadow and Zartan. They've completed. So role, mercenary. Primary specialty, infiltration. Secondary specialty, disguise. Birthplace, unknown. Zartan is a master of makeup and disguise, a ventriloquist, a linguist, an acrobatic contortionist, and a practitioner of several mystic martial arts. And we know that he did some swordsmithing with the Arashikage swordsmith, right? So so he's pretty cool. He's got a lot of skills, this Zartan. I recommend the Devil's Due origin of Zartan. They did a really cool origin where they merged a lot of different varieties of Zartan origin stuff together. I always seem to drop the stand because it's on the edge, and I will pull that. I will pick that up. Let's see, where did I drop that? Oh, there it is, right there. Oops. Stand dropped. Then we have the Indicia. All the legal gobbledygook. There you go. I'm going to stick that back in the package. So we'll put that aside there. And so then we have Zartan. Oh, so let's get him out of there. From what I can see, this is very, very similar to the previous Zartans. The only difference is the color deco. A lot of color deco differences. So let's showcase the San Diego Comic Con one because they did a lot of deco changes on this one as well. He's got a lot of silver in there, and all the parts that are silver are pretty much blue. Um, he almost has everything. The mold is almost identical. It's just there's a lot more blue in this than there is silver. There's a little bit of gray, whereas the previous one has a lot of black, which is a lot more of the Devil's Due era Zartan. He had a lot more black in that one. So there you go. But this is definitely Sunbow inspired because in the cartoon he was a lot bluer in that one than he was in anything else, I would say. Um, I like how comic books can do a great original story, but movies fail to do so. Yeah, I think that if they ever wanted to really incorporate Zartan's origin, I think that Devil's Due miniseries is like the perfect miniseries to utilize. Devil's Due, that was one of the greatest things that they did was they did a lot of origins. They did Snake Eyes origin, they did Scarlet origin, they did the Dreadnoks, Zartan, they did G.I. Joe's origin. In fact, they did a lot of origin miniseries. Um, so yeah, so if you can tell, the blue is on the leg um, armor and the chest armor and the back as well in that sense. Looks like everything else is identical to the other version. There's a little bit of extra gray they threw on there with the boots and a little bit of the harness for the armor. They did a little bit of gray there, but it has all the same armaments. It has the gauntlets. It has the shoulder pauldrons. Has the shamak on there. It's the same color, pretty much on all three of those. Um, he's got a black belt and the silver Dreadnought logo on his belt there. He's got that secondary knife sheath. Um, but all the articulation is the same. He's got the chest, ab, crunch, and waist. He's got the butterflied shoulders that are a little bit encumbered by the shoulder pauldrons, but he has the calf and thigh articulation. He's got the wrist articulation. He's got the double pinned elbows, double pinned knees. He's got the foot rocker. And I think he does have the secondary ankle articulation with that leg, with uh, armor that's there on the thigh there. That's kind of goes up, rises up to the knee. The shin, I guess you would call that the shin armor. I don't know what that is. Um, so he's got the same makeup, same face print, pretty much with the black makeup there. Looks like the same exact head to me. He's got the head, the ball joint head articulation there. I'm guessing you could mix and match some of the stuff that's on the different figures to add to this figure. Now his main pants are a shade different. They're a little bit redder. So like I said, this is definitely much more Sunbow color scheme and vintage toy color as well, because the previous one was darker, more brown, then the other one was a way darker brown. This is much more redder, a much more redder color. Um, see. So there you go. I'm going to lay him down. And I believe all of his accessories are very, very similar. He's got the helmet, or not the helmet, the hood, which is pretty much the exact same hood as the previous two. So they're reusing that mold again, but it's definitely a lighter color. I never noticed his eyes are a little green. The eyes on this one are a little green. I'm not sure if the eyes in the other ones are the same or not, but I never noticed his eyes were that green. So then he has this knife, and he's got a sheath on the back of his belt. Um, Something on my shirt. He's got a sheath back there, and they all have the sheath. So this is probably the exact same knife, and it has a much more serrated blade, and it's got some silver deco. So we're going to stick that in there. There. And then we have his gun, and it's the same gun he has in the previous ones. Like I said, almost identical version of Zartan. There. Some cool detailing on that gun. So I'm going to put that gun in the other hand. I have it in one hand on this one, and I have it, I don't know where I have it on this one. Maybe the gun didn't come with this one. He came with a rifle. This one came with a rifle. So that was different. The San Diego Comic-Con one came with a rifle. And so then he has the familiar mask. It looks like my friend Patty Lennon from Ireland. Looks like him. I can't really get a good view of that. It's too bright. Yeah. Can you get it? Can't really get a good view of that face. You can kind of see it over there. And then we have his backpack has the 3D printer on it. I'm gonna put this over here. So here's his backpack. He's got a little bit silver deco on there, a little technology deco on that, and then that opens up, and little red deco in there, and a little silver deco in there, and you can put the mask in there because it's a 3D printer, and then you put that back on there, and voila. Now this one, he does not have the bow that the San Diego Comic-Con one came out. Does not have the rifle, and he does not have the two swamp tokens, or whatever you want to call it. The first one had these tokens. There, little tokens, rat tokens, and snake tokens, but this one does not have those. So he just has the backpack, the hood, the gun and the knife. So there you go. And then we can put him on his stand. There. And there. So now we have 3 variations of Zartan. Which are very, very similar to one another. Very, very similar to one another. So there you go. Bobby World should have come with a swamp skier. Yeah, I think if they were going to do this, they should have started introducing vintage package vehicles. And I think this would have been the perfect one to start those vintage packaged vehicles using the homage of the Hector Garrido artwork, because there are other characters I think deserve to get their vehicles that have not gotten their vehicles, like CoverGirl and Copperhead. I think eventually we're going to get the water moccasin. It'll be like $100 scale vehicle, I think. I don't know if we'll ever get the Wolverine for CoverGirl unless they do my idea for the HasLab and use different turrets. And then you could put CoverGirl in that down the road as one of the drivers. and if they do the 5 different turrets or whatever, you can get 5 different HasLabs, and then you can have 5 different drivers, and then you'd have 5 tanks that way. But I think, yeah, I think this was a missed opportunity to do Zartan with his Swamp Skier in a vintage package design, and then they could have led to like people like Copperhead and maybe another Darklon as well. Anybody that they're doing figures of that they're not including the vehicles, they could do the vehicles down the road. Um, Darklon's vehicle is a little weird. I definitely feel we need Copperhead's vehicle because it's something that the Dreadnoks could use, Copperhead could use, and Cobra, other people in Cobra could use it. And it was a very big vehicle in one of my favorite stories where all the Cobra hierarchy gets stuck in the swamp, and they end up getting stuck in quicksand by Order from Law and Order. And there's a lot of characters that are running through the swamp in this storyline. They've got Tripwire in that. They've got Wild Weasel. They got Copperhead, Firefly, all the hierarchy of Cobra, Cobra Commander, Destro, Baroness, Zartan, Mutton, Junkyard, Torpedo are in that. And eventually Cutter and Deep Six and stuff like that get involved as well. It's a really cool story. It's one of my favorite stories, and it's a fun story because there's a lot of surprises. And then it obviously goes back and forth with the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow Arashikage origin story as well. So there's a lot in that period of comics that's going on that I enjoyed. But it is what it is. What are you going to do? But maybe someday we'll get that. They said they're going to try to get everything into the line, so we'll see. We'll see what happens down the road. So that is your Zartan vintage package figure. This is going to be a fairly short video because there's not much to go over with Zartan other than to talk about the figure and talk about his origin a little bit. The Devil's Due origin of Zartan is quite unique because they took 2 different characters in the continuity of G.I. Joe in that miniseries, and they merged them into one, and then they moved the character forward. So they incorporated these 2 variations of Zartan, they merged them together, and it became one Zartan moving forward. And it was a very interesting miniseries. If you guys have a chance, you should try to get the Devil's Due Zartan origin miniseries because it's definitely well worth the money, and it gives a definitely unique perspectives on Zartan that we've never seen before. And that was the good thing about those miniseries. So, any questions? Anything you guys want to add about Zartan Vintage Package number 6? So we got some interesting things coming up. I'll be doing a Renegade Game Studios episode coming up. Getting ready for the the Renegade Con virtual event. We'll be doing a whole episode on that. I've got an interview with G.I. Joe alumni, kind of major community member, Bill Nedrow. That interview is coming up soon. And we keep getting in new stuff. My Slice and Dice has not gotten here yet. Neither has my Hawk MMS. So we'll be doing reviews of that stuff coming. And so I think that's everything that I have coming up. Our next episode is going to be another reissue, but it's going to be one of my favorite reissues from a group that is going to be Cobra. I'll give you that. And it's a reissue from this group. That will be a Cobra video, and it'll be number 66. So that should give you an idea of what that's going to be, and it's one of my favorite reuse characters. So I look forward to that video. I think that's going to do it, unless you guys have something else you want to ask or some questions. There's not much going on. We're getting ready for the fall convention season. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff coming up in the next month, I guess. October is going to be a very busy month for Classified with all these different events. Los Angeles Comic Con, New York Comic Con, MCM London, and possibly 1027. So all that's going to be coming up in October. Um, I did get my next issue of the Skybound G.I. Joe series. This concludes the Baroness, Covergirl, Major Blood, Raptor story, and it also concludes the I guess Mercer, Clutch, Risk, and Hound storyline as well. So it wraps up all the current storylines, and it adds a little bit more stuff with Deathstroke, Cobra Commander, and Duke, and it leads to the Dreadnought War. So that is the perfect spot for us to leave this video off since we're talking about Zartan. And I hope you guys enjoyed my review the other day. I did a cool review with the Cold Slither box set and a bunch of new items that I've gotten in. And so thank you everybody in the chat for commenting and contributing to this series. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thank you for everybody after the fact, also contributing and asking questions and liking and sharing. We're about 10 subs away from the 150 mark. So let's try to get that going, and then we can do another Street Fighter video. Figure opening, not video, but figure opening, and maybe do a list of my favorite Joes and add some cool stuff to that. So thank you guys again. I appreciate it. And we will see you next time.